What's going on, guys? Happy Thursday. Ryan here with Southern Reptiles. As you can see, I'm giving some adult Hermans a little bit of Missouri pellets, which they're loving. These are some adult breeder Herman's tortoises. I have males and females. They're available on my website if you're curious, southernreptiles.net. Captive born adult Hermans. As you can see, they love me, they love people, and they love to eat. That is for sure. Just feeding them on top of a little tray. Sometimes I do it just so they're not, especially with the smaller pellets, that way they're not eating so much topsoil while they're trying to get the little pellets in their mouth. With the bigger pellets, I find that they're able to kind of bite the pellet without biting into the dirt. But with these smaller ones, I like to use a tray to feed them on top of. So I'll show you guys the quick difference between a male and a female. So this is an adult female Herman's. As you can see, nice short little stubby Hershey Kiss tail. And let's see if I can pick out a male without flipping over. All right, first try, there's a male. You can see how the tail is about 3 times as long. The way I did that was the males have a lot more flaring on the back of the shell here. You can see how the shell kind of flares out. That's how I was able to spot that one. So the male Hermans don't even really have any concavity, maybe a little bit. Not like the Redfoots do, where they have a lot of concavity, so they can mount onto the back of the female. But yeah, you could tell by that flaring on the carapace and that much longer tail. These are some nice Venezuelan Redfoots, chowing down also on some pellets. If you're worried, oh well, how do they all get to it? Don't worry, I'm giving them all plenty of pellets. Once they eat those up, I'm gonna go get more, so everybody gets a fair shot at eating. These tortoises eat good, trust me. Chameleons are doing good. Just hanging out. Some of my adult breeder Redfoots. Let's go see what the cherry heads are up to. Everybody's out walking around. They're waiting for some food too. I gotta go get them some. Just trim the bushes back a little bit. These are actually the Calusa bushes. Calusa bushes. Got a little crab right there. But they actually can eat the leaves off of these. You don't want to overfeed it. You could just once a week or once every 2 weeks, but they can't eat those leaves, in case you were wondering if you have some. Some of my big females. That male right there, man, he might be old, but he still gets it. He still goes after the females. He's probably about 40 years old. You can tell by how worn out his shell is. But he still chases the ladies. And this female right here, this is probably my biggest cherry head female. She's probably about 12.5 inches. That's a big cherry head right there. She just laid 6 eggs about a week ago. See who's hanging out in here. This is my little girl. She lays about 2 or 3 eggs at a time, consistently. She's only about 8 inches. Let's see what the Radiated are up to. This is my big female right here. She's about 13 inches. What's going on, Big Mama? It's an honor to work with all of these species, really, but I'm just so happy to have these adult radiated tortoises. Beautiful. They've got some Missouri pellets too that they're munching on. You know, you might be looking saying, oh, why don't you soften the pellets up? But it's actually good for them to have that tough bite, for them to really keep their beak worn down. Sometimes in captivity, I've mentioned this before, but sometimes in captivity you'll see turtles where their beak is extremely overgrown, and that's because we feed them chopped soft foods a lot. People cut up the lettuce and everything in the wild. You think about it, they don't have their food softened and cut up for them. They have to tear at it, and that's what naturally wears the beak down. So I try to give them foods where they have to kind of work at it. A little bit of enrichment is always good. These are my 2 big males right here. Beautiful animals. Love them. Love them. It's my smallest female right here. She's probably about 10 inches. Well, I hadn't done a video in a couple days, so figured I'd just do one. Can do a little bit of an update on the baby chameleons as well. They're doing great. All right, little update on the chameleons. They're doing fantastic. I got them in here. Down on the bottom we got sphagnum moss and cypress mulch, about a 50-50 blend that helps to keep the humidity up. So you can see they love climbing on that screen top up there. Got fruit flies all over the place in here. This is a fruit fly culture. You really can't overfeed babies. I keep the whole fruit fly culture in there, and then they can just eat them as they fly out, and they get plenty to eat. And there's also a bunch of little tiny pinhead crickets running around in here as well, and they just have plenty to munch on. I have little pieces of banana that keeps the fruit flies around, and they can munch on that, and then the chameleons munch on the fruit flies. I got my little sprayer here, little pump mister, and I can just lightly mist everything down, and they get a drink off the leaves, and they love that. And yeah, they're doing really, really well. I think I'll probably be selling these in a few weeks. I have, unfortunately, one didn't make it, but I would say 14 out of 15 babies is pretty darn good. So they're doing great. Just eating nonstop, drinking water, nice and hydrated, nice and active. A couple people told me that I might have trouble keeping them alive, and so far I've been doing pretty good with them, and they're just loving it. Obviously, as they get bigger, they can't be all living in a little cage like this, but this is just a temporary setup for newborn hatchlings, and it's doing good. Jackson's chameleons, awesome species. They're a little skittish of each other, but they keep their distance and climb away from each other if they get too close, and I haven't seen any aggression really at all, so they're doing well. These are the spotted turtle hatchlings. Just giving them some floating pellets to munch on. I do water changes every 2 days. I don't use a filter yet. As they get bigger, I would use a filter, but for now they're just being kept in very shallow water, and I just change the water every 2 days, sometimes every 3 days, but they're doing great. As you can see, they eat pretty well. These are eastern box turtles. Got one Florida box. Just picked up a pellet there. They're a little skittish as hatchlings, but they're slowly getting used to me. I'm about to change the water out for these guys too, but they're doing great. Obviously, as they get bigger, they'll go into a bigger enclosure. I like to keep them in a small setup when they're tiny like that, just because it's easier to monitor and make sure they're all eating and make sure they're all healthy. So they're doing good. There's some marginated tortoises. Alright guys, well thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/Southern Reptiles, Instagram.com/The Southern Reptiles, or check out my website at southernreptiles.net. Have a good night.